Welcome to It's a Matter of Music, a show that takes you down the roads traveled by creators and artists searching for the doors in and out of the music business. Hosted by songwriter, poet, and storyteller John Gray, and brought to you by It's a Matter of Music Publishing Company, where melodies are wrapped around life. Now, here's John.
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Melodies Wrapped Around Life. I'm just tickled to death today to keep going in the series that I've started about bringing music royalty, as far as I'm concerned, into our studio to talk about the way things happened back in the day and how some of the wonderful music that was created early on in the history of Nashville and country music came about. I have Mr. Lamar Morris in here with me today, and I can't tell you how happy I am, Lamar, that you're in here with us today.
My pleasure, man. I've looked forward to doing this.
Well, my friend Ronnie Hughes is in the audience right now, and we talked a couple months ago, and he was telling me that you were coming into town, and I just want to thank you so much for honoring us with your presence here, because you've done it all, dude.
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, that's true. That's true. You've done it. You've done it all.
But I want to keep going, just on and on and on as long as I can. But I saw what you did with Ronnie on that show. It was great. I really enjoyed that.
Well, I'm glad to have you here, and this is going to be just as great.
Well, good.
Guarantee it. Let me get my cheat sheet here, because I can't remember. But I want the audience to know.
You got one for me?
No, you don't. Yours is up here.
Okay.
You've lived it. This guy right here has played with Hank Williams Jr., wrote 11 Roses, Hank's #1 song. He's written for Loretta Lynn, Lefty Frizzell, Farron Young, Mel Tillis, Don Gibson, Billy Walker, Jim Ed Brown, Johnny Rodriguez, and more, and was chosen by BMI Award for the Best Performance of Year of The Great Pretender. And what an incredible song.
Well, thank you very much, man. I did 2 or 3 of those Platters things, but that's the only one they released of the Platter tunes, was a Great Pretender. But yeah, we had really good luck with that. That was early in my career.
Yeah.
And I love the Platters. I love them, and they didn't use steel guitar, and fiddle, but that's all right too.
Yeah, that's right. A great song is a great song.
You know what? I'm a firm believer in that. I mean, I really am. If it's good, I like it.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is.
Well, what I'd like to find out is, I know I read your bio, and people need to go to lamarmorrismusic.com and see his new album, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But your bio's on there, and it says that about 8 years old, you picked up a guitar and started trying to figure out how to play a guitar and sing. And tell us where that led you, an 8-year-old boy, from there to now.
Led me from there to right here?
Yeah, to right here.
Okay. My sister played guitar around, not professionally at all. My mother played guitar just around the house. So that's really where I started learning guitar and singing at the same time. And I did that locally until I did it till I was 17 years old. I mean, all local, I did that. And then I went to Montgomery and went to work with Lonzo and Oscar's brother, who was on WBAM radio. And I just turned 17, and so we did 2 radio shows a day. I mean, we traveled Georgia and Florida and did shows during the week. Then, where did I go from there? I left there and went to Nashville in '63 and went to work with Hank Jr. At that time. There was nobody but Hank and Audrey, his mom, and me. That was it. We didn't have a band. And
well, now, speaking of Hank Jr., am I mistaken, but at some point when you were about 11 years old, I mean, did you not play for Hank Sr.?
Well, yeah.
In front of him, not with him, but
I played. He came to where I'm from in Andalusia, Alabama.
Yeah.
At the ballpark, and I knew Don Helms, the steel player that was with him, because he was from that area. And Hank was my hero. I mean, Hank Williams was my hero, and besides my daddy. And so anyway, my dad said, "Why don't we take your guitar?" You know, and I said, you know, I'm not going to ask him, you know that. So anyway, my daddy went down to talk to Don. And now today you couldn't do that because it's security is so tight. You know, you couldn't do it. But so Don came over and they talked a while. And he said, "Would Lamar do a song on here?" You know, and Dad said, "Well, yeah, by the way, he would." So anyway, it was all unrehearsed, man. So I went out, and I didn't know any songs but Hank Williams songs. That's it. I didn't know anything else. And I sung Hank, I forget what it was, a Hank Sr. tune. And I did, that was probably about 6,000 people there, and I was scared to death in front of those many people. And so I did that song, and me being a kid and them hearing me locally on radio all that time, you know, it was like, well, that's Little Lamar, you know. So anyway, I got a great response, and so I encored. So I did another Hank song, and I encored again. And I did another Hank song. And right at the end of it, I looked down, and I saw these real fancy boots had walked up, because I hadn't seen Hank Sr. backstage. And I looked up, and it was him. And he said, "Boy," he said, "I'm going to have to get you off of this stage, or I won't have one of my songs left to sing." And I thought, Lord have mercy, I have made Hank Williams mad.
I bet he was tickled to death.
Oh yeah, but he, you know, he was kidding, man. He was great about it. But that was my experience with Hank Sr.
I knew there was something in that story, and I didn't want that to get us to get through this without that story being told, because that's just an incredible story. So you're in Nashville now.
Yeah.
In between there, when did you really get into the writing side of the business?
I started to write in Montgomery right after I moved up there when I was 17. And as a matter of fact, I had Alonzo and Oscar cut at that time, but I didn't really get into writing until I started with Hank Jr. Really. Yeah. I mean, after I got to Nashville, and then Ronnie was in the first band that when I finally let me put a group together, and Ronnie was the first one, and then Ronnie and I wrote a lot together, and I don't know, I just from that I really liked it. I mean, I really did like it then, and I really began to listen to closer to melodies and to storylines, and you know, what's the meaning of it, and so I just fell in love with it. I wanted to be a writer, and I wrote a lot of songs, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
like you and
writers write. You know, that's what they do.
That's what we have filing cabinets for, right? You know. But you know, I've had great fun doing it. I left Hank in '87. I'd been there 20 years and survived it, and so some nights I didn't know if I would or not. And but anyway, we made it, and.
Well, was he a pretty? I know he gets a bad rap about being a bad guy and you know, too much drinking and too much. But I've heard some other people say he was really a decent guy to work for.
Yeah, he. Well, you know, his father had stories. You know, that everybody talking about Hank Williams was a drunk and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He wasn't. You know, I mean, Don Helms and all the guys told me, said, you know, he would get drunk, you know, but he wouldn't, it wasn't his life.
Right,
you know, he did like other people. But Hank Jr., there was a time that the whole band and Hank, I'm being very honest here, got a little bit out of hand with what we were doing. And we didn't see any harm in it because we were having fun, you know. We weren't,
right.
We weren't ugly to people. And so I don't know, but after a while, eyes began to open, and Hank kind of began to settle down, I guess, before the band did, really, you know. But now, Ronnie wasn't part of that rowdy part.
Ronnie left by then.
Yeah.
Pat jerked on his chain.
Yeah, and he saw what was coming, so he.
Right.
But to answer that, Hank is like anybody else, man.
Sure.
You know, I mean, maybe tonight decide I'm gonna have some drinks. You might have a little too much.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, if you drink, that's gonna happen to you.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
And it's something you can't take back.
No.
You know, you've done it, and
no.
It's history. So.
But you were part of that whole deal when you know, it's awful hard to follow somebody's footsteps. If I know Merle Haggard. I did some work with Marty Haggard and his brother, and you know, there's one Merle Haggard.
Right.
And they tried to sing like Merle and act like Merle. And Hank was smart enough not to do that. He knew that he was never going to be his daddy.
Right.
And he flipped that thing around in a way that the fact that he wasn't, and he was his own guy and created his own type of music, is what made him a star.
Yeah. I'll tell you how the change came about. Hank Jr. was just coming into it, really, you know, before tradition, that's before that. But we would do a college like tonight, and somebody would say, "Boy, you good, but you better than your daddy." You know, that's what he would hear tonight. Tomorrow we'd be in some other town, probably in a bar, playing, and they'd say, "Boy, you good, you ain't good as your daddy." You know?
Right.
So he heard that.
Both sides.
All the time. So one night, we were downtown Nashville on the bus fixing to go on tour in December. And he called me to the back of the bus and he said, "Lamar, I've got to get away. You know, I've got to find myself. I got to find who I am. I got to find myself." Right. And I understood it. So I held the group together while he was going to take 6 months off. That was the original thing. And during that time, he had the fall, and which almost killed him, as you know. And so when he came back, I didn't start back with him because at the time, I didn't want to go back on the road, and he wasn't doing any of his dad's stuff when he came back.
Right.
So I told his manager, I said, when Hank finds himself, I mean, I would go back on the road with him, but you know, until that point. So I heard tradition, family tradition. I said, that's saying exactly, okay, folks, I'm Hank Sr.'s son, but I want to do my thing as well. And I'll tell you, man, he did it and did it well. I mean, he put a big boot down, you know, in the music business, and so I mean, what a following that he still has. I mean, he still has, man, and he's done a great job. But then he'd do things with us with the Bama band, but then he'd take the middle of the show, he'd do acoustic set, and we'd leave and he'd do his dad's stuff, you know. So that pleased everybody, you know, and then we started Country Boy Can't Survive, and we'd all come back out, you know, to then finish the show. But I really, honestly, I'm proud that he found a way to, I don't know, to say who I am. Now let me do my thing as well. Yeah. Let me do my thing, you know, and because my dad did his thing already. But I like him as much as you people did, you know, but I want to do my thing too. So he did, man, and he was very successful at it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Very, very.
I think I remember, and I was trying to remember with my wife. We went to a show one night in the old auditorium, that old round one that was up there on the top of the hill, right there by 16th and 17th the arena. It was an auditorium. It's the only auditorium Nashville had at that time. Up there near 16th, 17th Avenue. There was a building there. There was a facility where they had shows. That was the first auditorium in Nashville, I guess.
Gee whiz.
But I saw B.B. King. We went to see B.B. King, and Hank was on the show with B.B. King, Hank Jr., which I never expected to see. And here's B.B. coming in and playing on that guitar, and then he does the first half of the show, and then Hank comes in, and you might have been there playing.
Probably so,
Hank
man.
played a lot of piano that night.
Yeah. But he would do that.
But it was in the old auditorium, downtown auditorium.
I don't know. I just can't remember the auditorium.
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what they called it.
Yeah. But yeah, I went in there and I thought, we went to see B.B. King, didn't even know Hank was going to be there. Next thing I know, there's Hank Jr. in the band, and he was wearing it out, man. And we just had an absolute ball.
Oh, he's a showman, man. Could absolutely. Nobody wanted to follow him. You know, I mean,
No,
really.
Except for Jerry Lee Lewis. He'd follow anybody.
Well, we did a lot of shows together after that. I mean, Hap Peoples was the promoter, and
right.
we did show after show. But he always went on before Hank, always. And I remember one night, because you know how Jerry Lee was, you know.
Yeah.
But Hank started doing a whole lot of shaking going on, and Jerry Lee was on the show. And he said, if he keeps doing that, he said, I'm going to go out there and show him how to do jambalaya. You know, because like, it kind of offended him, but he didn't. Deep down, it did. You know?
I'm sure.
It up, but I thought, man, I can't believe you're doing a Jerry Lee Lewis song and he's on the show. You know, but Hank, he used to. He'd play fiddle on Kalijah, piano, drums, bass. He shot the drummer one night on Kalijah. It's true, and he was. And we wore that stretch lame at that time,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So the drummer got up and started doing a ring dance or something, you know. And Hank always would take us for this purpose a 44 Magnum on there. He loves guns, and he had plastic wadding in it. So he would always run up behind Larry, because Larry would just get off the drums and go crazy, you know. And he eased up behind him and shot the gun, and it shot him in the leg, man. And he grabbed his leg, and he was hopping off, and the crowd went wild, man. They thought that was hilarious. And Bill Aiken,
really shot him.
Bill Aiken said, hey, man, he really shot him. Not kidding. And then we had to take him to the hospital, man. It was a hole about that big around that stretched LeMay, and they had to dig it out. Oh, yeah. But I don't know if he ever apologized or not.
Now that sounds like something Jerry Lee would do.
Yeah, it does. You're right, yeah.
But I bet that was his show, Hank and Jerry Lee on the same show. Lord of mercy.
Yeah, we did a lot
Did
of
anything
those.
survive? Did any of the equipment survive?
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I'm trying to think. Probably Hank, when Hank got wilder, we didn't do that many shows with Jerry. That was earlier when he was doing that stuff with Jerry. But yeah, there was some pretty wild nights.
I bet there was. I bet there was. Now, getting back into the writing side, when you were with Hank, and you were with him, you said for what, 20 years, 20 some odd years. So evidently during that time, you were writing for other people other than Hank.
Yeah.
So is that in the time period when some of these other cuts like Loretta and Lefty and Fair and Young, I mean, Tell us a little bit about how that goes, because being a writer, unless I know one thing, if you're not out of sight, out of mind, and so being in that business probably gets you easier contact with people to say, hey, why don't you listen to this one? Give us a little bit of discussion about how that side of the business for you went.
Well, I'm sure that helped me because the fact that I was with Hank Jr. and we did so many shows package shows with other artists, and so I got to know those people, and we were friends, and but I would never pitch a song that I wrote to one of those artists. I never would, because I didn't want them to think I was imposing or using friendship to do that.
Yeah.
I never did that.
No.
And but we had a piano player that was just, he was a fan of mine. He liked what I wrote and all that stuff, and so he would tell the artists, said, Lamar's got a song you ought to listen to. Lamar's got a song you ought to. So he really promoted.
Yeah.
That
and that's different, and that keeps you out of that Garmin.
Yeah.
I want
the word,
something.
man.
I want something from you. I
That's the
want
word.
something from you.
Germ, that's exactly right, man. That's somebody that's been in the business that knows that, I tell you. But it helped me a lot. Some things people cut that I didn't even know that they had cut them until it was done. I had no idea. I called Mike Vickery one time, and he was a successful writer there in town too. You probably know about him.
I know. I remember the name.
But I called him too because we wrote some things together as well. And I called him to congratulate him because I saw he had a song in Billboard that week. And he said, well, congratulations to you too, man. And I said, for what? And he said, you didn't see the one you wrote in there? And I said, I wasn't looking for it, man. No, man. But I had no idea, and it was in the charts. I didn't even know. I was telling Ronnie that Don Gibson cut a thing that I wrote.
What a great talent.
Oh, man, that's exactly what I said to him. Oh, boy, what a stylist. And so I just sent him the song. I just did it. I didn't know him like that. But I sent the song. And so he found out I wrote it. The piano player told him that he said, Lamar wrote that song. That's not why he cut it. I mean, he had already decided to do the song to start with.
Right.
And it's called I Can't Shake This Memory of You. And so he said, well, he invited me to the session. And I thought, man, number one, the fact that Don Gibson would do a song that I wrote.
Right.
And to be able to sit this close and see him project, you know what I mean?
Bring your song to life.
Yeah, absolutely. And Merle Haggard was there that day, and he was cutting one of Merle's songs. So we were sitting there, just both of us blown away by what he was doing. Excuse me. And Don kept coming out of the studio. He'd come in the control room and say, "Is that kind of the way you felt like when you wrote it? Is that like? Did you feel like that? Am I doing it like you felt it?" I said, yeah, exactly.
Keep on doing what you're doing.
yeah, man. Yeah, so you're doing better than I felt it.
Right.
No, but so just different ways I got stuff cut, but most of it really was the shows that I worked with.
Well, what kind of song did Loretta cut?
It's called "I'll Leave the Leaving Up to You."
Ooh.
And
what a hook!
I wrote that song with. I started to say it was Sonny Throckmorton, but it wasn't Sonny. But I wrote some with Sonny too. Lord, I cannot think of the co-writer's name. That's a shame, but it was a long time ago. But he said, I'm going to take this song. We had just written it.
Right.
He said, I'm going to take this song to to Loretta's session tonight because we got a tip sheet, you know, like who's recording and what they're looking for and all that.
Yes.
So she was recording out at the barn, and I said, man, she's already got her stuff, you know, she wouldn't wait this late. He said, I'm going to take it anyway. And he did, and he called me about 11 o'clock that night, and he said, listen. And I listened, she was singing, I'll leave the leaving up to you. So she pushed one of the other songs out and cut that song, so.
See, and that part of that industry is what's so interesting to me. I don't know, but for some reason I don't think things happen like that anymore in that business.
I agree with you.
You know, to where, I mean, used to you could go into a radio station and go to a disc jockey and say, hey buddy, how about playing this? And they'd play. That doesn't happen, and I doubt getting songs to an artist like that happen anymore. Number one, they don't want anybody to know where they are.
No.
And it's so much more difficult now to get through the system.
Yeah, boy, the system is tight. I'll tell you right now. I asked Ronnie about that. He continues to write. You know, he said I write every day. But I guess because of the fact that I know how hard it is to get to somebody, and like I said, I had an easier way then to do it. So I don't do it now. Sometimes I get an idea, you know, where the idea that I get used to, I would have written it.
Right.
But I just don't now. Because I know how hard it is to get it heard, you know.
Doesn't make any difference whether they hear it or not, really.
Right.
As long as it makes you happy.
Yeah. And I guess I should look at it. Maybe that's how Ronnie looks at it, you know, the fact that it's the song's in him, and he, you know, he's got a gift for that. And he wants to convey that, you know, I mean, get it out.
Yeah.
And,
well, there's a bunch of us out here that write and have had medium, moderate, or no success, but can't you know, a writer writes. You just and the enjoyment is to, when you find that hook, is to go, oh my, what story does this tell?
Yeah, that's the truth.
And it's sort of like when you finish reading a good book or eating a good meal, you wish you wouldn't have started where you could eat it all over again. You know, good hook line's about the same
I was
way.
going to say, good idea there too.
You know, so since that part, how long did you continue to? You left Hank.
Yeah.
After about 20 years in, and then where did
Panama
life
City
take you?
Beach, and there was a gambling ship that ran out of Panama City Beach called Southern Elegance, and the keyboard player Dixie Hatfield he lived down there too, and he had been a part of the Bama band. Okay. So I put a group together and we worked at gambling ship. We did that for like, I guess, a couple of years, you know, and then the real cold weather, the ship would go down to Tampa and go out, and but we only went 12 miles out. That's all.
Right.
And we'd come back in, but as long as we were in
international
waters. Yeah, right. That's true. International waters are 12 miles.
Yeah.
So that's what we would do, and so we did that. And I questioned at times if I should have done that, because sometimes it was rough out there, you know. I mean, people holding those buckets other than just for money, you know what I'm talking about? And sometimes it'd be so rough, there was a post right by, we didn't have a stage where we were playing. It was in the lounge, and I'd have to sitting on a stool, put my arm around the pole to keep from, you know, and people just, they'd start to come, we'd watch them load when they're coming on. And they'd come out of the bar downstairs, and they'd be happy and everything. And Dixie and I'd stand there, and Dixie would say, "Okay,
which one's going down?"
That one right there would be the first one with a bucket. That's it. That's the first bucket right there, man. And it was. And it just gets so bad. But you know what? Some of those people were so addicted, truthfully, to gambling.
Oh yeah.
That I have seen them come out of that, leave the tables and go into the restroom, and come out and I shouldn't say this, I guess, but it happened. And they'd start back to the tables, and they didn't quite make it, and they'd use that bucket again before they got to. Well, they were walking,
Was there money down in there?
I don't know what they did with that. I don't know. Maybe they lost at the table. Maybe that's why they were up throwing. I don't know. But anyway, man,
Lordy.
They would go back and sit right back down at that table, man, and be ready to go again.
Ready to go.
Yeah. Fill it up.
So you did that for a couple years.
Yep. Then I went to, Louisiana. Slidell, Louisiana.
Baby.
I love those people, man.
Love Louisiana.
Great food, too.
Yes, sir.
And a friend of mine was an attorney down there, and he wanted Dix and I to come down because he was going to buy a marina, and he wanted us to be partners in it with him, and then Dix and I would play in addition to being partners in it. So I did that for, I don't know how long, I guess a year and a half, something like that. And I really don't know. There was a mix-up in the partnership thing some way. There was somebody else. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and
that doesn't happen.
so I tucked my tail between my legs and went back to Panama City Beach, and I don't think I did anything really for a while.
About how old were you at that point?
Well, how old?
Late 40s, early 50s.
That was in.
Now 20 years with Hank could put you 30, close to 40.
Yeah.
So you probably in your 50s at that point.
Probably so. Yeah. It was time not to do nothing, wasn't it?
As long as you had enough cans buried in the yard.
Yeah. Well, I thought about that too, and I thought, well, maybe I need to go back and do a little more, So I did, and I went back to my hometown where I saw Hank, and started teaching guitar. And I overloaded myself, and I had 72 students to start with, and that's a lot for one person to handle.
Oh, heavens, yes.
Week. And I had some that were beginners, but I had some that, was really advanced. So I enjoyed that. I really did enjoy that.
Teaching's a good thing.
Oh man, I just really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So. I did that for a long time, and what?
Were you more of a? Now I know you write melodies,
right?
Were you more of a rhythm player or a lead player or both?
Both. Yeah. It was both.
Did you play more electric?
Yeah.
Electric?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The only time I would play acoustic really is when I was singing.
Right.
That was it.
That's a good-looking little guitar that's on your album.
It's a triple alt 18. I told Ronnie my daddy bought that guitar from a guy.
That's a Martin?
Yeah, for $20. It's the truth.
Don't you wish you had it right now?
Somebody told me it got burned in a house fire later. I don't know, but if I had known, I would have kept it, forever. But when I left home, I decided I was going to I got a D18 Martin, and I traded that one in or something. I don't know what I did, but it was a great guitar. Today, I'm sure you'd have to pay pretty good to get one. And,
there is no doubt, no doubt. So is that what you did? Is that what you did up to date, pretty much? Is teach? When you were teaching down there, did you do any performing at all?
Yeah, I did some. I do some solo things, like acoustically. I do some of those things, and then sometimes I would do gigs with bands that were already there, like a house band or something.
I know that our audience by now has heard the timbre of your voice.
It's getting pretty hoarse right now.
But I want, what we want to do, the last album that you, how many albums did you do of your own? 2?
I did 2.
Okay. Well, the last album you did is called Amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go, folks, and do yourself a favor. Go online to lamarmorrismusic.com and pull up that website, and you will see Amnesia. You can purchase that album there. You can listen to the songs there, and it is one of the best pure country albums that I've heard in years.
Wow.
And this is something that you did. You've had some health issues, and you had some cancer, and have had some treatments and stuff, and so you're not singing right now.
No, that's why I keep sipping this tea here, man. My mouth gets so dry.
I understand.
And my voice is now is getting really.
What we're going to do right now is we're just going to sit here, and Philip's going to pull up the screen with the album cover on it, and I want folks to listen to the title song of this album. It's called Amnesia, because there's millions of us out there who feel this way about modern day country music and wish that we could hear the music that Lamar has put on this album played on our radio.
Wow.
I know I do, and I know there's a whole lot of other people. So listen to this beautiful baritone voice and think about, Waylon wasn't that good, because he wasn't. Lamar Morris, Amnesia.
Oh, man. Thank you, John.
They've closed the road Hank Williams paved. Can't go back to the good old days. That crying steel no longer moans. That lonesome sound has come and gone. My radio has got amnesia. I swear it's lost its mind. It's forgotten where it came from. Left a lot of us behind. They changed the tune hillbillies play. Can't slow dance to a waltz these days. Them sawdust floors are cold as stone. Them jukebox kings have been dethroned. My radio has got amnesia. I swear it's lost its mind. It's forgotten where it came from. Left a lot of us behind. I'm not into all this hip hop, and it's too late to change my ways. What I'd like to hear is country music, but my radio has got amnesia in its last days. My radio got amnesia last day.
And what about the voice of Lamar Morris? You know, folks, you can go on that site. It's lamarmorris.com. I said music, it's not music, just lamarmorris.com. Purchase that album and listen to it. Every song on there is just incredible, and that voice is something. So, you know, I know this was the last thing you did, but I think during our conversation we skipped the fact that during your career you had your own recording career with MGM.
Yeah, my manager just straightened me out on that. My manager, my wife. 1963. I cut my first record for MGM, and I had my last record was in '72. So it was with MGM, and I think I had a couple of releases on ABC Paramount.
Right.
But I never had that number one. But you know, I got good play and had chart records, and I was thankful for that. And
so that's while you were playing with Hank, you had a solo career going on.
Right.
Not a solo, your own music career going on.
Yeah.
Outside of being part of the Bama band.
Yeah. See, I would open in those days. I would open the show as the artist.
There you go.
And
so Hank had his guitar player and his opening act all in one paycheck, huh?
Yeah, that's the truth.
I hope it was a good paycheck.
Well,
probably good enough.
Ago.
Probably good enough, wasn't it?
Yeah, then it was.
Good enough, or you wouldn't have been doing it. So how many? So in that time, how many projects did you do in that 10-year period? Albums.
I don't know. I honestly don't know that.
Okay.
I mean, a lot.
So the last two you said when you'd done 2 albums, those were 2 that you did on your own without a record label.
Yeah, when I was on MGM, you know, the compilation things
Sure.
they have. You know, they had like 10 artists.
Right.
They put me on a couple of those.
Right.
But as far as my personal being featured, Lamar was 2.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
But I love this album right here more than I did the first one I did. This one is. It was just what it's more. I felt it more. It was like I could just relate to it more. I would hope that the people today can, maybe when they listen. I apologize for my voice.
It's okay.
Right now,
don't worry about that.
Especially after that great build-up.
Well, when they go to that website and listen to that album, they'll understand what we're talking about here. The songs, Crank Up the Country and Tear Off the Knob. I mean, what a great song is that? 1953. Gone Crazy is one of the titles, and that's a, you see a note on a door, gone to the post office, be back in a while. Your concept of that is gone crazy, be back in a while. And the songs are incredible, Phil. Alabama Dreamin'. If that's not a love song for the place you were born and the place that is dear to you and you love. That's not that. I've never heard one before.
When he brought those lyrics, and I read them, the melody just immediately came out of me for that, and it just, because it was, to me, it was like going back again to where I was born. I mean, really was, you know, and the story says that.
Yes, sir, it does.
But I really felt that, and I just really, the melody, I really did like that came out of me for that.
Right.
I really did.
And you know, a lot of people write, I'm a lyricist. You know, and I have 3.5 chords on a good day is about all I've got. And of course, Harlan said 3 chords and the truth's all you need, but that's not always the truth. You know, some words deserve a few more strings and a few more plucks than I can give them. But there are people who write a melody. The melody's the first thing that gets done on a song, and then they find the words to go with the melody, which I can't do that because I can't write a melody. But how do you start, with a hook, the musical hook, or the?
I've been asked that a lot, man. I'll just hear a title, you know,
right,
I don't know
right.
what, you know. Earlier we were talking and said that's a great idea, you know, at the same time.
Right.
I don't, sometimes like when I would sit down to write, I wouldn't have an idea, anything.
Yeah.
But I wrote the melody and the lyrics at the same time. I didn't do one or the other.
Understand.
But I've done, like this album, I've done things where I would just do the melody for somebody, and would co-write that way. But basically, I always, you know,
just happened at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even have a hook. Most of the things that I've written, I sat down to write. You know, I just sat down to write, and
they showed up.
They showed up,
yeah.
And
how lucky is that? Only the gifted ones, the few, does that happen to? You know, and your career, Lefty Frizzell, Farron Young, all these people that you've been involved with, and you were in this industry in the heat of it, at the heart of it, when country music left little bitty clubs around in the South, and a bunch of people in 6 big cars, to a real business, to buses, and Nashville sort of becoming the culmination of all that coming together. And you were there, man.
I know, and I you know, I think about that a lot, you know, and the camaraderie that we all had back then, that we just really did, and just, I mean, I'm outside right now and looking in, but it just, they don't seem to have the camaraderie that we did. You know what I mean? They just don't. And but man, I mean, we knew everybody, you know, and they were friends. I mean, even the people that I listened to when I was 9, 10 years old on the Opry, I never dreamed that someday I would even get to see them, but let alone work with them, you know, be on shows with them, and first name basis, and be friends, and joke. And it's just, I look back on it and I think, man, how fortunate I was to be able to look back on that, you know, that many of the friends have you know, that it still hurts when they die.
Oh yeah,
it still hurts,
for sure.
I knew them, and we were friends, man. You know, we were just friends. So yeah, I'm very thankful that I came up during that time.
You were right there at the right spot at the right time, just like our friend Ronnie Hughes over there was at the same sort of thing happened to him. It's like catching lightning in a bottle, and you're riding on the bottle. You're the one that popped the cap off, and away y'all went. And
write that down.
How incredible a story. What's the next step? Because I know you won't go softly into the dark, huh? You're gonna make some more noise before you check out of this deal, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd sure love to be a part of it if you are.
There's a friend of mine it's got a TV show named John. And, I thought about maybe co-writing a thing with him.
Well, I'm sure he'd be honored to do that.
Fine.
Lamar, all I know to say right now, my friend, is thank you so much for being here.
My
I
pleasure.
think, have we told it all?
Well,
that we can tell?
All we can tell.
There we
That's
go.
right. All we can, besides my little wife. So.
There you go. There you go. And folks, it's just been an honor for me to have Lamar here.
My pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed this. Share it with your friends, and don't forget, it's all about the little stories that happen in life, and then you wrap a melody around them. And that's what we do. We wrap melodies around life. And this man right here has been a master at doing it, and I'm honored to have him here, and we'll look forward to having you in our village anytime you want to show up, buddy.
Amen.
Okay?
I'll do it. I'd love to.
man.
I've had a great time.
Very
great
good.
time.
Mr. Lamar Morris. Folks, we hope you enjoy this show. Share it with your friends, and we'll see you next time with Melodies Wrapped Around Life, brought to you by P-Head Productions and It's a Matter of Music Publishing Company.
For information regarding It's a Matter of Music's catalog and songs written by John Gray, contact John at 931-581-5238 or John Gray at pheadtv.com.